Hey guys, Raj Sangha of Cardio Security. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another episode of Raj's Garage. Now recently I've been focusing on my Porsches, and if you've not seen any of those episodes, there'll be links at the end of this episode and you can watch those. Today I'll be focusing on one of my French cars, the Clio V6, what's been done to the car and the next stages for this car. So sit back and hopefully you'll enjoy this episode. So guys, firstly, what is a Clio V6? Now, for those that don't know, it's based on a Clio, but just maxed powered out. You know, we're talking wider arches, wider track, longer wheelbase, reworked suspension. I mean, just look at it. It doesn't look like a Clio. Look at these air intakes on the side. It's a crazy looking car. This is actually a Phase 2 Clio V6. Renault made about 1,300 Phase 2 Clio V6s worldwide, and this is number 294 of 354 made for the UK market right-hand drive. So it's pretty exclusive club in that sense. Finished in Iliad blue, which I think looks just amazing. There's about 10 colors in all. We'll throw a few pictures up of some of the other colors that the Clio V6 Phase 2 came in. The Phase 1 car came in, I think, just iceberg silver. Phase 2, there are a few more options, and there's some really limited edition options in terms of color paint, which you'll see on the screen. Now, in terms of my car, I bought this car 5 months ago. Bought it through a broker. If you've not seen that episode where I sort of review the initial purchase of this car, along with my Renault 5 GT Turbo, there's a link somewhere on the screen now. Watch that episode. Yes, I bought a Renault 5 GT Turbo as well. That'll be coming to the channel soon. The plans were to really just subtly modify and improve this car, so like OEM Plus. Now, there's a couple of dings in the bodywork, nothing major, like parking dings. One of the wheels needs refreshing. In fact, it's the front passenger side wheel, which you'll see. Needs a refresh, nothing major. The interior is in great condition. It needs a stereo upgrade. We'll talk about that in another episode. But most importantly, it needs a service. Now, I've only done like 300 miles in the last 4 or 5 months since I've owned it. You know, winter, last thing I want to do is get grime on the underside of the car. So we've got it booked in today with the guru for Clio V6s in the UK, a gentleman called Scott at SG Motorsport Services based in Chippenham. We're going to drop the car over to him. He'll service the car. The cam belt was changed 2 years ago, like less than 4,000 miles ago, so it doesn't need a new cam belt. Definitely needs a service, and it needs either brake pads or discs on the back, so he can look at that and investigate that and replace accordingly. Now, if you don't know, the Clio V6s, the engine sits in the back. There are no rear seats. The engine's not in the front, it's there. So let me show you the engine. So as you can see, the engine sits where the rear seats would normally be. This is a 3-litre V6 straight out of a Laguna. It's rear-wheel drive, it's mid-engined, good for 0 to 60 in about 5.8 seconds, and top speed around 150 miles an hour. So it's a pretty quick hot hatch. Ultimately, this is a 2005 Clio V6, so for that era, it's pretty quick. If you started matching against modern day hot hatches like Golf Rs, they would leave this car standing. Right guys, that's enough of me talking about the specs of the car. You know, if you want to learn more about this car, just go on YouTube, type in Clio V6. There's so much information out there. I'm not a motoring journalist, and you know, if you want to learn more, listen to Chris Harris. He's a proper motoring journalist. Right, let's get in the car. Let's head out to see Scott, hopefully have a chat with him, and we'll go from there. Right guys, in the Clio V6, first thing you notice is that it's a very small car. It is ultimately a 90s hot hatch. There's derived from the Clio, very small and compact inside. Although on the outside, on the exterior, it looks, menacing with the body kit and that wide track. Inside, it's a tiny little hot hatch. I can lean over, I'm touching the door card. It's all Clio inside. Clio dash, Clio door cards. Nothing really exceptional inside, just a Bogo Clio, to be fair. Okay, a Clio Sport, to be fair. But it's when you put your foot down, you realize that it's just not a normal Clio. Obviously, we have that 3-litre V6 literally behind me here. That's the engine. It's not like, a Ferrari 360 or a 430 where the engine is behind you and you've got a glass screen to protect you and the engine. There is nothing here. It literally is there, and you can hear it. That V6, it does sound quite meaty. Drop it down a gear, give it some beans. It goes. It takes its time. That was 4th to 3rd. Ultimately, if I was in 2nd, it would have pulled a lot quicker. I am in a 50-mile-an-hour zone here on the M4 on the way to Chippenham, so I've got to be very careful. Interesting and unusual car at the same time, but pretty cool as well. I don't think any brand is going to bring out a car like this ever again, with EV vehicles on the horizon. This comes from a very special era. Let's just leave it at that. Okay, so let's talk about pros and cons with this car. Pros with this car, quite a few in fact. It's nimble, it's agile, it's small, you can throw it around. The brakes are pretty impressive, good stopping power. Even with that 255 3-litre V6 behind me, this car does stop exceptionally well. Clutch-wise, very light, and gearbox, actually very smooth to get into gears. A very slick gear shift, in fact. It's actually a 6-speed manual box. The fact that it's good for 150 miles an hour, I think you'll need that 6-speed to get there. The ride is pretty planted and not overly stiff. If anything, I think the suspension setup is quite soft, and you can feel that as you're driving around. Over the winter months, as I said earlier, I have put 300-400 miles on it. I did do some B-road blasting, and it's pretty cool. You can throw it around. I think that's what this car is designed for. It's not a GT Tourer. It's designed for those B-road blasts, and it is pretty good fun. The looks are friggin' insane. Even driving now on the M4, getting a lot of people sticking their thumbs up, because it's not a car that you're going to see every day. With 1,300 odd phase 2 models made and only 354 right-hand drive, and all those right-hand drive cars are not in the UK. They could be in South Africa, they could be in Hong Kong. I know there's some that have gone to Australia. So, there's not many of these cars about. It does sound pretty awesome, I've got to say. Obviously conscious of speed limits. That's pretty cool. And it does keep going. Nice pop from the exhaust there as well. So, you taking all of that into account, there's a lot of pros with this car. Those air ducts that are on the side of this car, the air vents, when you put your foot down, it almost sounds like a turbo, but it's not. That's just the air being sucked into the engine. I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear it on camera, but I can hear it. It's pretty cool, pretty rad actually. Now, the negatives. What are the cons with this car? Well, firstly, the turning circle on this car is woeful. It's the worst I've ever seen. It's like driving an American truck. That's how bad the turning circle is. The steering also, it's not that precise. It's okay. You'd expect a lot more feedback from a car that looks like this, has a 3-litre V6 in the back, but not great feedback, to be honest. Seating position, it's okay. It's not great. These aren't bucket seats. They're called Renault Sport seats, but they're not really sport seats. They're just standard seats, to be fair. And one thing I did notice in here, and I've noticed it now, I've been driving for 10-15 minutes, the AC is not on. It does get hot in here because obviously the engine is there and the heat does just come into the cabin of the car. In the winter months, when I did drive it, I didn't even actually have the heating on. The heat from the engine just warmed the cabin up. Now it'd be interesting to see with we're in spring with summer around the corner, how hot it does get in here. Obviously, it does have AC, so there are mod cons, and hopefully that will help. I'll need to check to ensure that the AC is gassed. So note to myself, check with Scott. Now, I don't know if you're aware, but these cars, the Clio V6s, more so the Phase 1, they do have a bit of a reputation for biting. It's rear wheel drive, it's a lot of power, and the Phase 1 cars had, from what I understand, no traction, and you'd come out of a corner, put your foot down, and you'd lose it. Now, Phase 2, they've improved the car somewhat, but even then, you've got to give the car some respect, you know, especially in the wet. I have driven it in the wet, and you can feel the car is a little bit twitchy. It's very easy to get the car slightly off balance, and you can feel it as it's going off balance. So you've got to be fairly careful in that sense. You have to treat the car with some respect. In fact, in the 4 or 5 months that I've owned this car, I've reached out to some other Clio V6 owners, previous owners too as well. I've made some good friends there as well in the community, and they've said to me, well, you know, I've written off one of those back in the day, I've written off 2 of those, so it's quite surprising how many of these cars have been written off or pretty badly damaged. So it'd be interesting to actually find out how many of these cars are actually still out there. I'm not really giving the car beans today because I'm dropping it off for service. It's a little bit cloudy outside, the road is damp, so I've got to be careful. Once I've picked the car up, I'll do another video, see how different the car is after the service, and ensure those brake pads are performing at the optimum. I do feel there's an issue with the rear brake pads, or it could be the discs. So to summarize, cool, fun car, looks crazy, decent power. You know, it's not stupid power. It's not like Focus RS or Golf R power. It's good power. It's enough power to have some fun in. One great thing which has happened recently, and I've got to thank the motoring journalists for that, especially Chris Harris. I think it was a Clio V6 that belonged to Renault GB. They put it up for sale on Collecting Cars. Now that car sold for something like £90,000. Yes, £90,000 for a Clio V6. Yeah, that's collector's grade. This is collectible, but it's not what I would class as a trailer queen. 43,000 miles, it's been used, but it's been looked after exceptionally well. So the value of these Clio V6s since I've bought the car has shot up. It is the car of the moment. So I've got to thank all these motoring journalists for what they've done in the last few months. I think I've done quite well in what I've paid for this car. And we'll find out once the service is done if there's any issues. I don't think there are. So let's get over to Scott, drop the car, have a chat with him hopefully, and then we'll go from there. Remember what I said about rain and V6s in the rain? It absolutely chucked it down on the way here. Driving on the M4, that was horrible. Literally sitting there in the middle lane like that. That wasn't nice. Now look, V6 heaven, look. Yellow one, another blue, another blue. I can see a black one in there. But check out this Saab, oh my God. When's the last time you saw a Saab turbo in this condition? Oh my God. 900 turbo, the 3 spokes. 48,000 miles. I want to see if he sells it. Can you imagine this slammed on the floor? Then this is a job for Palm. All right, that's enough of Saabs. Let's go and have a chat with Scott and drop my car off and get back to Hayes. Scott, how are we doing?
All right, Rad.
Am I allowed in?
Yeah, come in, yeah, dog's in the office.
Check that, 2 more V6s. Hello, nice to meet you. In fact, there's another one hiding over there.
Yeah.
Although that doesn't look like what I would class as a V6, but I'm sure it is a V6.
Yeah, it's a trophy rally car.
Okay,
So
something special.
special car.
So you're the guru for Clio V6s, I hear.
Well, I've worked on them for 20 years, so
you know what you're doing.
I've got a rough idea around them. You know, that's the main thing. Like, you know, so this is your car then.
Yeah. So let's have a quick walk around. Yes, it needs.
Sorry, it's raining.
Well, it's been raining all the way. It needs a service.
Yep.
Service was done about 2 years ago, in fact, and they changed the timing belt then.
Yep.
So that's obviously important, that's been done. I've noticed the rear brakes are sticking a little bit. I don't know if it's the pads. I don't know what it is, but you'd have to have a look at that.
Yep.
And the gas, is it these gas struts?
Boot struts, yeah.
Boot struts.
Yeah.
They're shot.
Yeah, keep them on the shelf. So.
Okay, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think let's go back inside.
Yep.
Because I don't want to get your hair wet.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm okay. So it should be fairly straightforward for you, I'd have thought.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's fine. So we'll just go through it, get all the engine covers off and that, and give it a health check for you.
Sure.
And I'll let you know via email and everything, and we come up with a plan and how far you want to go, you know.
You've got a lovely array of cars here, so what we'll do is when we come back, hopefully we'll come back on a dry day.
Yeah.
And we can have a chat about some of the cars that we've got here. We'll chat about your Saab, because that looks interesting.
Yeah.
And I know you've got some history when it comes to E30s and so on, and obviously I'm an E30 guy, and we'll talk about that on camera as well.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna literally leave you the keys.
Lovely.
And get out of your hair, so to speak.
Yeah.
And get back to Hayes.
A lot of hair puns.
Good. Right guys, any questions or any comments you have, throw them down below. We did show you some different colours that the Phase 2 Clios were available in. You've obviously got the Iliad blue here. We've got a lovely liquid yellow there. If you were to buy a Clio V6 Phase 2, what colour would you choose? Also, if you've got any stories to tell, you know, more so on the Phase 1 cars, because I know a lot of cars were written off and there's quite a few out there that were accident damaged, drop them down below. That'll be interesting to hear your stories. As always guys, smash that like button now, share and subscribe to the channel. You know, we want to keep bringing you loads of content, so it's important you subscribe to the channel. I'll be back in a couple of weeks when I come to pick up the car. As I said earlier, we'll have a chat with Scott then. We'll go over the car and we'll talk about some of the other cars that he has here. So, see you in a bit.